Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this new week. It's a new Monday. We got some new opportunities and some more boring sideways price action. But as the signals do start to populate themselves and link into the higher term timeframes, I do think that right now is actually one of the bigger times to be paying attention. As always, it's always going to be very, very boring before the most exciting times. Although I wouldn't say this is going to be probably the most exciting time, but an exciting time nonetheless. Anyways, other than that is Labor Day. So I do want, or I think it's Labor Day. Maybe it's Labor Day. Have a happy Labor Day in your life. I don't know. We got a Labor Day sale going on. Also my good old birthday as well. But that was days ago. That's in the past now. We're in the future. We're in the present. And I do want to let you know that if you're interested in any one of the programs, any one of the indicators, please watch the promotional videos that will accompany them. They're going to explain who they're for, who they're not for, essentially what to expect so that you can make an educated decision for yourself. Because for many people, it is going to be unreasonable, in my opinion, that a TA program or an options program is going to be financially or time like sufficient or makes sense. What I'm trying to say is that for most people it's just unnecessary, but for the people who do want to go a little bit into the autistic zone like myself, then perhaps consider those. But other than that, I think it's time for us to get into price action charts right now. And so I wanted to switch up things a little bit today while starting off with the short-term timeframes, because that's where all the new stuff is right now. All the higher-term timeframes are more or less the same. We will go over them, or at least the ones that are relevant for today. But right now, I wanted to start it off with the 12-hour timeframe for CME, which is open back up for trading. So a few things of interest right here as we do see signals start to populate themselves. First and foremost, BBWP representing volatility is downtrending right now within the context of potential hidden bearish divergence between the highs of the 30th of August and the high that we did see started on last Friday after that, what was it, non-farm payroll, something like that. It doesn't matter what it is, just another economic event to kind of whip around price action, right? Anyway, so we do see that as potential. So any sort of a closure here or lower on this next period will confirm that. That's going to be in 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 53 seconds. Moving on to the 6 hour, I think things become a little bit more clear over here as we do see essentially the same setup, but with extreme lows on BBWP, as you can see right here, comparable to what we have seen a couple times in the past couple months here before. What I would say are the most eventful moves, like this move over here, and this move over here. This one a little bit less interesting to the upside, however. Anyways, in this case, we do have just two drives of bearish divergence coming off that last Friday high, and with the 6 hour RSI once again about to break back into the bearish control zone, I would say upon confirmation of this next closure, we would be starting to look for that to take over, maybe later today, probably more likely tomorrow. And that accompanied with the 4 hour, which we already have gone over as well, is also showing the same sort of signals. Multiple drives of hidden bearish divergence here started on that last rejective high from Friday, which we would expect to be, taking hold basically later today, again tomorrow, with low BBWP reads like this. So ultimately, there is a major potential setup on the other side for this, because with these hidden bearish divergence calls, that calls into effect that the last local high that we did see, which was right here from last Friday, as long as Bitcoin is below there, these are active, I would say, or relevant. If Bitcoin can pop back above there, that is what would initiate the trap, and I would be looking for actually a nice rip into the probably $22,000 to maybe even $23,000 region. As of right now, I think it's less likely just based off of this and what we'll go over a little bit later, but I do think it is relevant to be speaking about, what these conditions would be as we get into the stochastic momentum over here. Yes, indeed, I got it all lined up, so that's good. 12-hour stochastic momentum also pointed down and will be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's basically below about 20,000 bucks, as you can see. 6 hour, very, very similar as well. I do believe we can pop it up right here. Again, very low volatility alongside freshly turning down. You can even look at this as a trendline regression rejection as well, as long as Bitcoin's below where 20,000 bucks or so. And moving on to the 4 hour, what do you fucking know? Nose diving as well, as long as Bitcoin's below 20,130. And if we even go to the hourly, I believe this one's also, coming down here, as long as Bitcoin's below 19,625 on the next closing period in 25 minutes and 32 seconds. Now, that's not like a death sentence or anything like that. Don't get it twisted. But I do want to once again revisit that the weekly and the 5-day stochastic momentum are also pointed to the downside on both CME, and yes, we did see that happen again on spot price action last night upon the weekly closure. And I do think that this deserves a bit of, a bit more right here as we go a little bit deeper into it. So what I'm looking at is that, yes, it is crossing to the downside, as did the 5-day. And yes, those, the prior analyses that we did look at that are, still very much relevant as long as we're below these pivots. But because your higher timeframes like the weekly are already, pretty far down here in the critical zone, I do look at this as a potential for a trap situation, maybe after one more move to the downside. And we'll get to, where that downside move could potentially come to in a second here. But this would be kind of the conditions set up for something like that. Maybe another move down around the current lows, maybe even slightly new lows, something like that. And then a run the other way. A lot of the time when you do see a quick move, or sorry, not a quick, but a deep move like this, like you see right here, I'm talking about this one. Fuck it, this chart's all convoluted. But basically after that, if it comes back down again, a lot of the times you'll get some like this. And that's the real move to the upside, kind of catching everyone's off guards, while, basically maybe retesting lows or making slightly new lows. So on that topic, do we have anything of interest going on right here? Well, we do obviously have a consolidation, and this consolidation is within the format of a descending triangle for now. That descending triangle kind of started off with those first highs in the 30th of August. Again, conjoined with the with last Friday's highs, and as long as Bitcoin's kind of following these lower high schedules right here, I would look at this as relevant. This is one of the only patterns that I think even is worth looking at. I think most patterns are just Jesus toast. Yes, I do know some pattern traders who make a living off it, but they're few and far between, and they're typically very, very old. I'm always very interested to see this like epidemic of, early 20-something pattern traders, but fair enough. I shouldn't even be commenting on that. Why am I even talking about it? Doesn't fucking matter. It's obviously my own ego speaking right there. I apologize. I need to go take some magical rides, sort my shit out. But in this case, as long as this one is followed, I would treat it as viable. And this, of course, as with any pattern, at least in the way that I've learned patterns, always needs to be confirmed with an actual breakout. In this case, needs to see a closure at minimum below the bottom boundary of this, which is about 19,450 on CME. If we do see a wick lower than the lowest wick as of right now, at like 300, then that probably does it as well. And then a measure move could be applied here, which would be pointed all the way back down to about 18,500 or so. You might see some wicks a little bit lower than that. That's completely fine. That's basically where the last major low for CME has been had. And it's also confluential with the 1.618 Fibonacci extension right here too. So again, upon validation below that lower boundary, sure, I guess I would be looking for that move, and then probably bounce within this region. At that point, you might see, this sort of idea that I, espoused over here, perhaps play out. Again, I do think it's very difficult for me to like get super bearish within these regions, despite what I'm about to show in a bit here. But without like a little bit of a try for a bounce, right? But ultimately, that's kind of what I'd be looking at right there. Again, the invalidation for that, or it's not even, because it's not really validated, so there's no invalidation, but a trap situation would be back above here, last Friday's high very specifically. And then yes, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to put a nice move up somewhere around here, and then probably even continue somewhere between like 22,500 to 23,000 bucks, like in this region. It's like football, right? XOs and XOs, right? Anyways, going back over to the 2-day time frame over here, I always keep on coming back to this chart because it's until we see something new here, I do think that it deserves some merit, or at least some acknowledgement. So in this case, I'm looking at the 2-day time frame for CME specifically. This is a volatility versus stochastic momentum signature. And basically, anytime that we have seen the 2-day volatility get to extreme lows, which are defined as anytime we see this moving metric that my cursor is currently on right now get down to the green horizontal bar or somewhere around there, the expansion phase from these extreme lows has led to an average move over the past few years of 39.5%, done over the course of basically just over 3 weeks, or 3.5 weeks. The stochastic oscillator has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion 87.5% of the time, and the first standard deviation would represent the results between 32% all the way up to about just under 47%. So I do look at this as very, very relevant right here, as long as that condition is maintained. But here's the thing: the 2-day stochastic momentum oscillator is still angled to the downside. Yes, very much to the downside, obviously, and will be remaining with downside posture on the next closing basis with any sort of a closure below 21,650. But just like we spoke about on the weekly, when you get into critical regions like this, it's very difficult to keep up the momentum at that pace for a long time. So I do look at this as kind of like a ticking time bomb, in the sense that, hey, if Bitcoin does fail to break down, maybe in like the next week and a half, something like that, you probably will see a trap situation. Until then, the probabilities and statistics do remain in alignment with more downside continuation, as obviously this to the downside applied with these stats over here would give us targets, far beyond the current lows. If we took it from the actual signal given, where would 32% put us? It'd put us in like the $16-ish thousand region, basically, and that's on the lower end, obviously. And we do expect some variance with this, of course, but here's the thing. This signal was born upon, I would say, the 25th of August. And we do know that the average days to expect for this to play out would be about 3.5 weeks. So where would that essentially forecast into as far as like a date goes? So let's see, 10, 20, 25. Sorry, I'm going too fast here. Okay, so 25 days would put us just after the midpoint of September, at about September 19th. So we would kind of expect things to, be mostly played out by then. It is interesting that on all these signals that we have seen, even the past couple ones, like these major ones that we are following on this channel, especially here, once the signal was given, it takes about a week and a half for it to really get going, and then it does the strong majority of the move, within the next like week or so. Same thing over here. It spends about a week and a half going sideways, and then plummets down. It makes a slightly lower low after that. Same thing over here. This was actually the one signature where the stochastic oscillator did not get the correct direction, and then same thing over here to the downside. Spend a lot of time going sideways first, and then dump it off. But in all of those instances, the stochastic oscillator was, still decently higher than where it's at right now. So that's why I do want to kind of raise the alarm that if you do see a move back above last Friday's high, that's going to be a good indication that, we're going to see a nice little trap. But until then, probability and statistics do still suggest downside. Over here, we won't get another update on the 2-day stochastic momentum oscillator, not tonight, but tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, we'll get a new number on this. And if the number does shift down significantly to where price action is actually trading above it, then that would be, a good early warning sign that we actually will probably see a trap situation there. So just wanted to get that out there for whoever might be listening right now. I know that these are rather slow and boring times, and fair enough, probably best be spending, time elsewhere. So with that said, I'm going to be signing off now. I want to wish you well. I want to wish you the best. I'll probably be gone for the most of today because it's kind of a holiday. So I did want to let you know that if you're trying to reach out on some sort of social media, I probably won't be able to respond in like a timely manner, but I'll do my best tomorrow. All right, sweet. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.